guys? Welcome to another episode of the James Bond Retrospective. My name is Mark Bridge, and I'm here with Zach Wojner.
That's me.
And today we're going to talk about Goldeneye. We're officially in the Pierce Brosnan era of the 007 saga. And what an intro it is! What an intro.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Um, so a couple of notable changes other than um, our 007. We have a brand new director, which would be the first of his two films, and he actually did the beginnings of both the sagas. Martin Campbell. He directed this movie and other notable films other than Casino Royale. He directed the two Zorro films, which I loved. Well, the first one mainly. um,
Yeah.
and then a bunch of other movies. But he's known as a cool action director, which does lend itself well with Goldeneye.
Yeah, he did Edge of Darkness, which is a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, that's with
Both both
Mel Gibson.
the TV, yeah, there was a TV miniseries or a TV movie first, which I've never seen, but the Mel Gibson movie um is a favorite, even though it's Mel Gibson. I know.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's a shame, man. A lot of actors and notable film pundits that we used to love just fell off like a cliff. Like, god damn,
He didn't fall. He threw himself.
man.
He drank a whole bunch and then jumped.
Exactly. Um, Also, Martin Campbell directed Green Lantern.
Nah, don't hold it against him.
uh,
Speaking of falling off a cliff,
exactly.
he's feeling much better now though.
Yeah. So going back to Goldeneye, again, it's the first Pierce Brosnan movie. It also has a new M, played by Dame Judy Dench.
The evil
Um,
queen of numbers.
and we have a new Miss Moneypenny, played by Samantha Bond. Um, Now, I like the
She does
dynamic.
the yeah.
Yeah, I like that dynamic, right? Because most of the time, it's always sort of Moneypenny yearning for Bond, and Bond kind of, you know, flirting but holding her at a distance, like it's like teasing her a bit. But this introduction to the new Miss Moneypenny, she's like, "Yeah, I'm over you, Bond. I'm going out with this guy," and Bond is like, "Oh, what? Excuse me? What about us?"
Yeah.
You know.
It's definitely part of the film's larger, especially in the first half, you know, reflection of the changing times and kind of asking the question, is there a place for Bond in the post Cold War 90s?
Yep. Yep.
And if this movie didn't land, it's hard for me to imagine a world where Bond is just over,
Yeah.
period. But if this movie didn't land, I think it would have been a Tron situation where we'll see him try every 10 years, but
Yeah. Yeah.
not really getting our hopes up too high for a full on franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the new M, who's combative with Bond, who calls him a dinosaur, and we've got the new Moneypenny, who is over, you know, waiting with her hand under her chin for him to come home, and of course the whole post Cold War aesthetic of the movie, which is so clever because it's one of those things that Bond is frequently identified with, even though only a handful of the movies up to this point have actually been Cold War thrillers,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, The Spy Who Loved Me, Octopussy, basically the ones where General Gogol has more than like a cameo.
Yeah.
Um, and and Pierce is such a good, quasi reboot kind of casting where it's like it's clear like it's James Bond. He represents James Bond as this archetype of everything that had come before and gets to be younger and you just kind of go with it. That it's and it works so much better if it's the same guy and not that stupid codename theory that's been debunked a million times.
Right, right. Even though we did mention this, like this Bond franchise is kind of like how X-Men just didn't give a fuck about the timeline. You had Joe Don Baker come back as a different character, Jack Wade. He was the I think he was the guy Brad Whitaker in Living Daylights.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so he came back as a whole new character. So like, continuity, shmenuity. Let's just fucking do
Oh,
whatever. You know what I mean? It is.
and I respect it because if they wanted, I respect it because if they wanted to, they could have just gotten an American guy and been like, "This is the new Felix."
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
got the new Bond. Here's the new Felix. But Felix is retired. He's fishing, probably looking for a new wife.
And a new leg, probably. No, no, no. Too
Yeah,
soon. Too
yeah.
soon.
I think he gets a
Um.
robot leg in the books.
Oh, nice. Um. So before we go on with the rest of the cast, let's talk a little bit about what happened between Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan. Like what happened in between those years. Why Timothy? Because Timothy had a 3-picture deal, and they were in production or pre-production for the third movie he was supposed to do, but then I guess it was rights issue with MGM. It's like how many people owns this? I can't tell who owns the Bond rights. Well, I know Amazon right now owns it outright, but it went from a other company which MGM kind of like held the rights to distribute, or it's confusing as shit. Um, but they had the rights, and while they were wrestling with that rights with whether two companies, you might know more about this, but like by the time they finished that out, Timothy's contract was expired, and he said like, I don't think I want to come back.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, I don't really know that much about the rights changing hands and who, you know, and there's also the whole thing of like anyone can kind of say that they own it, and if they have, a fraction of a case, they can really put a wrench into things. We saw that with Never Say Never Again and that
Yeah.
whole saga. But yeah, I know that Timothy Dalton was willing to return for a really long time until it started to become a lot more concrete and they wanted him on a bigger multi-picture deal and he kind of balked at that. It was kind of like, well, I'd rather do it one at a time and then kind of feeling, well, it's a new era, my time is up. Let's
Yeah.
give it to Remington Steele.
Exactly.
Give it to the lawnmower man.
Pierce, before Timothy hopped on board, the first choice was Pierce Brosnan. We spoke a little bit about this in previous podcasts. Um, and he was close to getting the role, but then his Remington Steele, I guess, that show got renewed, or he couldn't do double time on that, so they had to lose out on him, and then they finally got him back when Timothy passed, and it was like, yeah, Pierce. They finally got him on board, which is ironic because I think it was Cubby Broccoli was trying to get him, but then by the time this film rolled, Cubby kind of stepped away from the franchise, and his daughter took over the reins.
Yeah, I think Cubby's credited as like consulting producer or something,
Yeah,
where maybe they called him up and were like, "Hey, what would you do in this situation?" Or at least in theory, had the capacity to do that,
yeah,
but he wasn't hands on like he was, and then he died after this one.
yeah, yeah. Rest in peace. Um, and then Desmond Llewellyn came back as Q. Um, he's the only returning cast member from the old days. Um, I think
Yeah,
did
and
he?
what a Q scene it is.
And then oh shit, how many other ones did he do? Did he? I think Your World Is Not Enough was his last one.
Yeah, World's Not Enough was his last one, and he was in almost all of them from Russia with Love onward. He skipped out on, I believe, just Live and Let Die.
Right.
I think that's the only one he skipped out on, but there might be another one.
Yeah. So he's the only one who returns, and it featured a pretty hilarious scene, which is notable for when Bond is getting introduced to new tech. But this one felt a lot more like slapstick for some reason. Maybe it's me. Maybe I don't remember the others too well, but like this one just really shout slapstick. Like the guy going in the phone booth, the thing opening up on him, the balloon opening up on him, and then them moving in another scene. They're moving the booth, so you just see it in the background. It felt almost like a Naked Gun type movie.
Yeah,
It was
definitely,
such a
definitely a Naked Gun moment.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Um,
whole sequence is very much, you know, there's so much given to the whole, reboot, soft or otherwise, of the whole thing.
mhm.
But the movie is not afraid to be like, these movies are also fun. These
Yeah,
movies are also funny. Like, we why not throw Q in there and it give, you know, years of progress since the last movie and just have like a really decked out Q branch and yeah, no, I would say that especially in the Roger Moore era, those scenes were very fun as well.
yeah, yeah.
And this is definitely a nod to that, classic exploding pen and Q, anticipating the one liner. Don't say it.
Don't say it.
and and of course, ending with such a perfect button. I do expect you to return this in pristine order. Don't touch that.
Yeah.
It's my lunch.
Yes. I wonder if that. No. Well, when I was looking at it, I was like, wait, is this a Subway Subway promotion? But I was like, I don't see the Subway bag, but and I don't think Subway was around 95, was it? I don't know, maybe not. I wasn't
I
here.
have no idea, but nah. Q has,
Yeah.
as someone who actually likes Subway, Q has better taste than I do.
And then we have the two Bond girls. We have Isabella Skoropko as Natalia
Semyonova.
Semyonova. She plays a programmer working out of a facility. I don't know if it's a Russian facility she works for. Is she work for the Russians?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
this is post Cold War, so we don't even know what. Well, I guess maybe I don't know history too much in terms of the Russian history, but like I don't know what was where she actually officially worked for the Russians and not like a little sect of you know people doing nefarious things that just happen to be Russians. I guess it's.
No, she's yeah. It's a little tricky.
Mm-hmm,
The whole Goldeneye project is, kind of implied to be kind of a Cold War relic that's still being kept operational, but to no real end.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because they're in the '90s, the Russians were pretending to be civilized
Yeah.
in real life, um,
Yes.
and Orumov got kind of hijacks it, but I don't know where exactly it is on the map. I don't remember if they show it specifically. I know they have the satellite view, but I think it's kind of ambiguous where in the greater Russian area it's supposed to be,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, she plays the programmer who, after the attack on that facility, escapes, but then she gets captured again, and eventually she meets up with Bond in the what do you call that helicopter? The Tiger
Yeah, the
helicopter.
tiger, or
Yeah,
in the video game they call it the shark or the pirate.
right.
I think they
Uh,
call it the shark. I think.
but isn't there a video game called Tiger Strike that uses a helicopter like that? Am I bugging?
Uh, maybe.
Let me look that up. Tiger Strike or Desert Strike or whatever the fuck.
Well, Desert Strike sounds familiar.
Uh, let me see. Game.
But yeah, I believe
Yeah.
with the game it was based on like an earlier version of the script before they changed it.
Yeah, I was reading about that, and I was like, oh, that part of it at least sounds familiar. But anyway, there was a specially built a chopper that's impervious to electromagnetic interference, and it's stealth apparently, and it looks cool. I gotta admit, it looks pretty cool. So that's Isabella, and then we have my favorite, Famke Janssen as Xenia
Yeah, she's
Onatop.
great.
Onatop continuing the innuendo last names of Bond girls, Onatop being on the top.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and her character is said to be Georgian specifically.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but
And
she, I guess, because she's old school, she identifies as Russian.
yeah, again, another with the whole, especially what's going on now with Russia, like Georgia was invaded. What did Georgia like sort of become their own sovereign, and then Russia took it back or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Well, the Russia has wanted to take it back, like just like they wanted to take back Ukraine and other
Yeah,
countries.
yeah,
But a lot of it's always a misnomer when people talk about old Soviet Russia being Russia. Like
mm-hmm.
it wasn't. Russia was part of the Soviet Union. That's why they called it that. It'd be
Yeah,
like Texas. It's just one part of the United States. Russia was
yeah,
just one part.
yeah,
Granted, it was probably the biggest part,
yeah,
um, and the place of power within that. But all of these other countries were part of the Soviet Union, and Russia felt like they owned them because back then, I suppose they did. But then after the end of the Cold War and these countries got their independence, um, Russia no likey,
yeah,
and once they kind of got to finish celebrating peace, they went back to what they know how to do, which is invade other people.
yeah.
Not to be biased or political or anything, but fuck Russia.
So it's safe to say that Onatop would have been down with Russia taking over Georgia, even though she's from there,
Yeah,
based
she
on
well with Xenia specifically, I think it's less about nationalism or any kind of illusions of patriotism on any side than just an excuse to crack bones with her thighs.
yeah. So this is a villain that I gotta say like really pushed the PG-13 because I feel like America is the type of place where you could get away with a lot of violence, but once things become sexual is when things go into the gray area. And this is a girl that had countless orgasms killing people. And
Yeah, she's very excited.
I was like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Because this is probably the third time watching this movie, and these are really spaced out watches, right? Like from the first to the second time was a very long time, and then second to now is another time. So it's like these are things that eventually I forget that actually happens, and then now watching it with my eyes currently now, I'm like, damn, they got away with that in '95. Holy shit, you know what I mean? Like you can't have
Yeah,
a villain like that now, just being all like, "Oh my god," while murdering dudes in the fucking face.
yeah, sure you could.
Well, it would be rated R probably.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I like the idea of just pushing that theory whenever someone says
Can't get
you
away with
couldn't
it.
make that today. It's like, well, I mean, maybe they're not trying hard enough. Like, everyone's so scared of the MPAA and showing like even a drop of blood. But every once in a while, someone just says, "Ah, screw it," and they go for it, and sometimes they wind up sliding right through.
True, true, true,
But
true.
but but I definitely know what you mean. I mean,
Yeah,
this is even by Bond standards, bringing it into the '90s. This is the first like on-screen actual sex scene, even though it doesn't end well for
yeah.
the guy.
I mean, he died with a
Um,
smile, but
yeah, yeah, that was a morbidly funny when they show his face.
yeah,
And she, you know, when they're fighting in the sauna, she's orgasmic,
yeah,
and when she's murdering all the people in a very a View to a Kill kind of way.
hmm
But it's like, well, they got to get rid of all these guys somehow. It's not.
uh,
It doesn't feel too gratuitous, and it
yeah,
definitely feels like it's not supposed to be a spectacle. It's supposed to be a little character beat for Xenia and how little she cares about life and how good she is at killing.
yeah. She, listen, I would have folded so many times if she ever came around to me. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. No, she's gorgeous.
I was like, oh, um, but too bad she was on the side of the baddies. But yeah,
Yeah,
she was a great Bond girl. um, Pierce got a little kiss in here and there, and got to have at least um, some leg wrappings. Which I mean,
yeah.
I couldn't tell if he was into it or not. To be honest, it's like, wait a minute, is
I
Bond into
think
this?
Bond. I think Bond prefers to be on top, but he's open to, especially in the '90s. He's open to letting a woman take the lead, just not that much of the lead.
Right. But yeah, she was dope as Xenia.
But yeah,
Um,
and a shout out to I don't know the actress's name, but the redhead inspector or whatever
oh yeah,
counselor
in the
that
beginning
he opens up with
evaluator.
in the car chase. Yeah,
Yeah, in the evaluator, and he just totally just seduced her
aces the
to.
evaluation.
um, and then we have for a small scene, Mini Driver. I was like, holy shit, that's Mini Driver.
Oh yeah,
For a small scene as Irina, who is the, I guess, girlfriend of Robbie Coltrane's character. What's his name?
Valentin
Yeah,
Dmitrovich
yeah,
Zukovsky.
Zakovsky. Uh, so Robbie Coltrane, for those who aren't familiar, he played Hagrid in Harry Potter. Um, so yeah, he was it was another small role. So a lot of small roles in this, like from either notable actors or um or people that you would become famous afterwards, like Alan Cumming. He played
Hmm.
Boris. It was like, holy shit, Alan Cumming. There was a scene right at towards the end where after the satellite gets blown up, and because I didn't remember exactly what happens to his character at the end when he's like, I'm invincible, and the nitrogen falls on him. Right before that happens, I wait a second, does he live? Right? And in my head, in like a manner of like 2 seconds, I'm thinking about old man Pierce Brosnan Bond and him as the villain, kind of bringing it back full circle. It's like, holy shit, that could be a dope movie. Oh, he's dead. Sorry.
Yeah, Boris would be like Dr. Zola in The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, he played. His character reminded me of I forgot his name, but he was in the Jurassic Park movie with he had like a
Oh, Wayne Knight,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Newman.
hmm He reminded me of that. He had that whole vibe to him, and he's a little sleazebag too. His passwords are always a little dirty. Except for the last one, it was like that was so easy. How did she not get that? What do you sit on, but you can't take it with you? It's like
Well, because she
chair.
assumes that it's something dirty, but it's not.
Yeah,
That's funny. The '90s hacker is either like a skinny little dweeb or a big fat dude.
yeah. um, and then we have our main baddie, Sean Bean, as
Sean
Alec
Bean.
Trevelyan, who is 006.
Kind of surprising that it took him this long to do an evil Bond
Yeah.
as the
Um,
villain. Right? Took
yeah.
Mission Impossible one sequel before they were like, let's do an evil Tom Cruise.
Yeah. But yeah, and it was, and not only is an evil Bond, he was a close friend to Bond. You know what I mean? So it's like you got the double whammy right there. They were friends, and then they became enemies, and they're just as skilled as each other. You know, it was a challenge for Bond. He was definitely gave Bond a run for his money. But what they both have in common, they don't shoot each
They're-
other when they have themselves dead to rights. It's like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Bond had him dead to rights like 5 times, and vice versa. It's like, dude, you're definitely born from the same cloth. It's like, just shoot each other, man. It's like, what the hell?
Maybe that's part of MI6 training. Like, many times you will be captured, but they won't immediately execute you. So, if you capture someone, maybe, prepare to have like a big old fist fight. Maybe your gun will slide way over to the other side of the room.
Yeah. But yeah, he definitely played one of the more memorable Bond villains, only because of the whole personal connection to Bond, and it's Sean Bean, man. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah, he's fantastic in the movie. He does so good as an evil Bond, even early on, just like a more ruthless version of Bond. The only thing that kind of dates the movie in hindsight is like I don't know what a Lien's Cossack is. Um, especially when I was a kid, and even now I had to like look it up. The Russians who worked
Uh,
against the Russians
for
in
the
World War II.
Yeah, was that a real thing? Is that a real thing? I was
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
like,
yeah. That's definitely a real thing, and it's as serious as it is, it's also a little bit of a It feels like kind of a joke about the whole "how old is Bond" thing,
right, right, right.
because it's like, well, if he was already born during World War II, Sean Bean's character is supposed to be like 50 at
Yeah,
least,
yeah,
and he doesn't look 50.
yeah.
Um, so that I suppose you could slide it a little bit and say like, well, he wasn't born at the time. He even says, "MI6 figured I was too old to excuse me, too young to remember."
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and it does a pretty good job of explaining the history. Where I'm like, okay, I'm into it, but it's I actually appreciate when a movie kind of shines a light on a lesser known piece of history and lets you kind of do your own research about it
Exactly.
afterwards. And even Bond has a good line, and he's like, "Well, it wasn't exactly our finest hour
Yeah.
about betraying them."
Yeah. Yeah. It was a cool little nugget about the background of his character, and I was like, holy shit, that's cool. Um, but yeah, and then so the plot is involves the satellite is called Goldeneye, right? It's not the satellite.
Right.
Yeah, so it's about a satellite that can hijack other satellites. Is that what I'm saying? Or like the nuclear powered satellites in the sky, like it hijacks them.
Nope.
Yeah. What is
No,
it?
the GoldenEye satellite is its own satellite that launches an EMP.
Right,
It's
but
just an
okay, which
EMP device.
the Goldeneye was the one under the water or was the one in the sky? See, I was trying to
No,
figure
no,
that
no.
out.
The dish controls the satellite in the
The sun.
sky.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Like the dish is like is basically the cell phone tower.
Yeah. Right. Um. Yeah. So they wanted to basically it's a elaborate bank robbery where um, Sean Bean's character was stealing money, and then they were gonna use Goldeneye to kind of wipe the traces of their theft, and also wipe out debt and cause a financial collapse. I mean, how does that
Basically
work?
wipe out basically wipe out all of the stuff that had been that's stored electronically in the 90s, which was kind of a it began in the 80s, I suppose even earlier. But, you know, electronic banking and email and just records being digitized.
But
And the idea being that an EMP would erase all of that.
would his money still be worth it if he caused a financial collapse? That's the thing. I mean, I'm not a financial expert, but like, if you cause a financial collapse, that means digital money or digital currency is no longer, I guess, valuable. Am I mistaken?
I don't think that I think if it's already transferred,
Right.
I don't know.
Right. I was like, wait a
Because
second. You
because he
cause a
makes
finance.
because
Go
he
ahead.
makes a digital transfer and then wipes out the record of the transfer. Did the transfer ever happen?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Um, I don't know. I think it's supposed to invoke a little bit more of the Goldfinger, A View to a Kill, um, amassing a hoard of something and then devaluing the rest of it. I think
Yeah.
that's like the idea behind it. I don't know if it would actually work though. I think it's a little bit one of those 1990s, the internet is magical
Right.
kind of things where you just kind of, well, that's what he says he's going to do. Whether or not it would actually work, we still don't want him to do it.
Mm-hmm. So,
But
so
yeah, that's a good point that you bring up, and I
yeah.
don't know if that would actually work.
I mean,
I'll
hey.
have to try it.
Yeah. Let me know how that turns out. So let's speak a little bit about the action in this movie. Now, before I get onto that, I remember when this movie came out. So it came out in 95, November 1995. Um, and then the following year, Mission Impossible came out. Now, by the time Mission Impossible came out, I saw Goldeneye on tape, right? Now, my friend went to the theaters to see Mission Impossible, and he said that he loved Mission Impossible more than Goldeneye because Mission Impossible had more action. He was like, he didn't think there was enough action in Goldeneye when he saw it, right? But I remember watching Goldeneye after he told me that he wasn't enough action in it. And I was like, really? And I watched it. It's like, yo, this movie had wall to wall action in it. I don't know what he's talking about. But then when he said Mission Impossible was better because it had more action, now I'm expecting an action extravaganza in Mission Impossible. So when I eventually saw Mission Impossible, I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, there was like two major action sequences in Mission Impossible. You know, the train sequence um, and the, I guess if you call it an action sequence, him dropping down to get the information in the sensory room where he had to balance himself and get the information. That was like it.
Yeah, it's the thing where it's very exciting, but not necessarily action. But I
Yeah,
guess at the end, if you go out and you feel like your adrenaline's been, pumped up,
yeah,
it's all the same.
right. But yeah, but objectively, there were a lot more action sequences in Goldeneye.
Yeah,
And
there's more action in GoldenEye, but I will also say that it's got some pacing issues. Like it definitely in the middle, there's a lull where
right,
they kind of have to move the plot along and get the characters into position where Bond and Natalia can meet, at the Russian headquarters building to have that, leading up to that. definitely a lull.
Right, right.
Um, but then once that happens and they shoot their way out, and then the tank chase, races to the finale.
Yeah, that tank
But
chase was
there's
fucking crazy.
a long spree where it's
Yeah,
definitely chess pieces moving on the board rather than actually, smacking each other around.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, the action sequences were pretty elaborate in this one, although there are a few shots that you could clearly tell those are miniatures. Uh, I think the scene near the beginning where the one of the plane crashes. Oh, when they first did the electromagnetic thingy, and those F-16 crashes into buildings. One of them definitely looked like a toy crashing in a bunch of other toys. Um, so yeah, you could definitely tell some of the stuff were like miniatures, which kind of brings me back to a conversation I had with another friend of mine, where he says, CG will always look dated in a few years. Like it might look great, like at a time when a movie comes out with that has a lot of CG effects heavy in it, and then in a few years it'll look dated, but practical will always look, great. I'm like, not in every case, buddy, but this is definitely a case where practical stuff looked dated. I mean, I'm sure at the time when it came out, you would
I
be
mean,
like,
I guess you can tell that it's a miniature, but I don't think it looks bad at all.
I
But that could be just a difference in opinion on it. Like
right,
when I see a real explosion, whether it's big or little, you know, that's exciting to me. But
yeah,
I could see them, if they did it now, you know, there'd be one camp that would, making the movie who that would want it to do it digitally
hmm
with computers. But the hybrid approach is always the best. You could enhance the explosion or make the miniature look more realistic with some CGI details. Maybe have some CGI guys walking around outside
yeah,
to sell the effect better, or not even CGI guys, but just shoot them separately and composite them in,
yeah,
or enhance the wind and the snow. Like the snow blowing up is probably what sells it, or what doesn't sell it, I should say. What gives away that it's a miniature.
yeah,
Little particles like that when you because the way they shoot that stuff is in like super slow motion
hmm
to make it look bigger and more impressive. Um, but when you've got little bits of dust and especially snow or sand stuff like that coming up, that kind of gives away the illusion, and that's something that could be enhanced or modified with CGI to make it look more realistic.
yeah. And speaking of which, this happened to be the first Bond film to utilize CGI in some of the action sequences, but very little though, obviously, because this is still a relatively new tech.
Yeah,
Um,
like where? I'm trying to think of any CGI
I
aside from the opening titles.
probably the one was some of the explosions, some of the planes explosion. Maybe those were like computer particles, stuff like
You think
that.
so?
To be honest, I don't know. They said it's the first one to use CGI, so it could be something that is just really not known to us. Um,
Yeah, and I mean CGI can also mean so many things, like
yeah,
computer compositing, which they could have done with the explosions of the jets. Just compositing a real explosion on top of it.
yeah.
Um, I know that there's a little more in the next movie, in Tomorrow Never Dies
Right.
specifically. Um, but off the top of my head, I can't. And maybe like wire removals, like stuff like that. But I'm trying to think of like in like the tank sequence, like that looks all practical to me.
Oh, they said among the model effects are most external shots of Severnia,
Severnaya,
Severnia,
Severnaya.
the scene where Janice's train crashes into the tank and the lake which hides a satellite dish. Oh, so the lake is CG.
Although even then, like that would be an
Yeah,
example of it being composited, like
yeah,
imagery of a lake composited on top, which is just like a CGI version of a film effect.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, the action sequence was cool. This is probably a first too. I think this is a first. So they've changed it from the Aston Martin to a BMW, the car, right? This is the first one to use the BMW.
The first one to use a BMW, not the first one for him to not have an Aston
Yeah, yeah,
Martin, but
yeah,
the
yeah.
first BMW, yeah.
Now
First of
this I
three.
remember. This I remember when I was younger, when I saw the movie, because they made a big deal about the car, right? And you saw the beginning of the car where they showed it. And it's like, okay, don't press that button because there's missile and stuff like that. He used the car in
No car
one
chase.
scene, one scene,
Yeah.
and then the CIA dude just takes the car and go away. And I was like, what the hell, man? Like, so yeah,
Yeah,
that was
I've heard, different versions of why there's no car chase. One of them being that they just got the car so late in production
right.
that there wasn't time to build anything around it
Yeah,
or
yeah,
to actually make it, modify it to be able to play with those toys.
yeah,
Um, and another version is that, they came up with the tank chase instead, you
yeah.
know.
But yeah, that was definitely blue balls for me as the first
Oh,
time I
and
saw the movie.
I know that there was a uh an action scene, presumably with the car, that was planned, that was abandoned, that would later get revived as the waterfront chase in The World Is Not Enough, with the helicopters with the blades on them.
Right, right, right.
That was created for Goldeneye.
Ah, interesting, interesting. But yeah, so the car shows up in a couple of scenes, no action sequences, but I don't know. I guess I could forgive it for that because subsequent movies eventually use their cars to great avail.
Yeah,
Um,
they make up for it, especially in the next one.
yeah. So and what else? What else can we
The
talk about this?
music.
Hell, fucking yeah. So all right. So Eric Serra, I think that's his name, did
You
the
say hell
score.
fucking yeah, I say hell fucking maybe.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So in the '90s, you had your particular sound, especially for action movies, right? This is your beginning of your Hans Zimmer, Harry Gregson Williams renaissance. This is the type of music that influenced the first we call that game Metal Gear, right? I could even hear that little boom, that little sound effect during this thing, during the score that you definitely hear in later films and even in a couple of the Metal Gear games. So like it's definitely just like how I've always said James Bond films are kind of like a window through time in terms of the aesthetics of like the style and action and stuff like that. Music definitely kind of tells you what time period we're in. At least some of the scores throughout the Bond series, and this one definitely screams we're in the '90s with the almost industrial, um, pulsating drums and guitar riffs. Well, electronic guitar riffs that you hear like in your typical '90s action movie.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I dug it. I dug it. You know what I mean? It was just it was very nostalgic for me. Like it's just like it felt off the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Eh,
mean, to be honest, I don't hate it either. I mean, just for me, knowing what comes after, this is just so not it.
right.
For me personally, I respect it, and some of it I do like. Like I do like some of those, far out sounds, but
Like
yeah,
like
it's just it
like
just overall doesn't really hit that hard
like
for me. I
like
appreciate it; it's unique, but not for me.
yeah, like the beginning of the movie when they're doing like when Zenny and Bond are doing the race Uh, the score for that was just straight up electronic. I mean, it was like there was no strings, nothing. It was like straight electronic. It was, it felt more like a dance track than a typical
Yeah,
Bond
sometimes
score.
it's like Eric Serra is like, "Owner of a Lonely Heart" by Yes is my favorite song of all time, and I want everyone to know it. Um,
So I think
yeah,
Eric Serra only did one Bond, right? This was the only one he did.
yeah, it's the only one he did, and some of his music was rewritten. I don't know if it's out there, but apparently the producers did not like his theme for the tank chase, so they got another composer whose name escapes me right now to come in and do
I think I
and
heard
just
about something
redo
like
that
that.
scene.
Yeah.
Um, and it's noteworthy because that's kind of the only scene that uses the traditional Bond theme in
Hmm.
some variation. It's still
Oh, John
it's
Altman. John Altman
John
did.
Altman. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
he did it.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Um, and the Bond theme in that scene is definitely done in a way where it fits in with the rest of the score,
Yeah.
but also stands out, and you know it works. I like it.
Yeah. And now, as for the main theme,
Oh
Bond
my
song,
god.
Tina fucking Turner.
And you too.
Yep. Now, this is
Oh, like,
another Mission Impossible connection. So,
oh,
Bono and
right, yeah.
Edge, yeah, Bono and Edge did the main song for this, and then a year later did the main Mission Impossible theme. It was like, wait, the two big spy movies you had to cover. It's like, oh my god, it's interesting.
That's how big U2 was. So the legend goes that they that Bono and The Edge
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do the Bond theme so badly that when the name of the movie was announced, they
Mm-hmm.
wrote it with no plot details or anything, but it's just when they got the name,
Yeah,
they wrote it. And you can kind of tell
yeah,
if you actually listen to the song because it's definitely a Bond character theme,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but it's like nope, nobody's named Goldeneye in this movie.
No, 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 no. But
but
yeah,
but it is one hell of a song. I
I
love it.
love.
I love Tina Turner, always have,
Yeah.
and she sings the hell out of it.
So
I don't know
you
what to say.
you want to know what's funny, right? Again, being in Jamaica at the time, I saw this film and I saw it on tape. And then the only time you heard the song, I had to hear the song because I didn't have it on tape yet. Uh, was top 40, like in Jamaica you got syndicated top 40 um, uh, programming. I think
Hmm.
it was I forgot his name, something Rick Dees, I think his name is, this famous disc jockey, but like he, at least I heard his programming on in Jamaica. So Goldeneye was on that soundtrack, right? On the top 40, like for weeks. That's like I was looking forward to the top 40 because I got the chance to hear the song. Now, around the same time, Tina released her album Wildest Dreams, and she had a song on there called Whatever You Want. Now, for the longest time, I thought Whatever You Want was also on the Goldeneye soundtrack because it sounded so like a Bond song. Like it felt like the cousin of Goldeneye, like just a more faster hearted version. But it had like the strings and everything. The way how it was kind of arranged felt like it was a Bond song. So for the longest, I thought, oh, she did two songs for the movie. She did Goldeneye, and then like um, she did that song. And Mandela Effect did a lot of things to me where I'm thinking that song played at the end, Whatever You Want, played at the end of the movie. So it was years later when I watched Goldeneye again, and I'm sort of looking forward to hearing that second Tina Turner song because I remember loving it. I was like, wait a second, who is this fucking asshole. What did
Oh
they
man, then you get stuck with a shitty Eric Serra song.
right? I was like, where the hell is the song? You know, so for the longest I'm like thinking maybe I was just bugging. Maybe there wasn't um two songs. But believe it or not, like today is when I was like, you know what? Okay, I have to do Google. So I googled what song Tina Turner songs came out in 1995, and it of course brought up Goldeneye, but it said she also released an album the same year which also features Goldeneye, and the first single was Whatever You Want. So I played Whatever You Want. I'm like, oh my god, that's a song. So I was like, holy
Uh,
shit. Because that song is fucking hard, man. I love that song. But for the
I'll
longest,
have
I
to give
thought it
that a
was
listen later.
yeah. For the longest, I thought it was actually part of the soundtrack as well. But no, it was her first single that year, and it was kind of like, um, it was because Goldeneye was such a massive hit for her. It was almost like a continuation with that sound, that sort of like '90s, you know, kind of like what Michael Jackson did for Dangerous, went more rock, uh, industrial sound for some of their songs. You know, Tina did the same thing. It was like, and it was fucking dope, man.
You know what was dangerous? Going to Neverland Ranch.
Oh, anyway,
I got him. Take
no,
that, Michael Jackson.
no Michael
I
Jackson
got
slander
you.
here. No Michael Jackson slander here.
I kid Michael Jackson. I kid him. He's my favorite pedophile.
Jesus Christ. Anyway,
I mean, objectively, he is my favorite pedophile.
I mean, objectively he could be a favorite, but subjectively, favorite pedophile.
Alleged pedophile.
Okay. So,
He's my favorite alleged pedophile.
so no slander off the mic here. He's the king.
But I'm just saying, if Jeffrey Epstein made bad, then maybe we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah,
If
but
Jeffrey Epstein was in the Jackson 5, maybe we'd be having a different conversation.
but the difference is Michael was acquitted of all those crimes. So
Yeah, yeah.
in the court of law, he is innocent. So we got to
No,
follow the court
I
of
know.
law.
Allegedly. Yeah. Him and Bill Cosby.
Well, Bill went to jail. He was convicted. So Bill is
Yeah, but
actually
then it was
convicted.
overturned.
I mean, he was already convicted. It was Mike was never convicted, and they tried him twice.
I know. I'm just busting balls.
Yeah. Anyway, Mike, going back to
James
this
Bond.
GoldenEye. So we did the music. Did well at the box office, 356 million worldwide on a $60 million budget. You know, it's another one of those over 2 hour Bond movies, but not super long. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. Um, and as far as, like I said, beginning, as far as like the beginner of a new technically a new line of Bond movies with a new Bond actors, like his first out the gate, incredible. Yeah, it
Yeah.
still holds up. I would say it still holds up in terms of the plotting and the action sequences and just being a very exciting movie, even though it's still a product of its time in certain aspects. Like for instance, when Natalia's character was captured by 006, and he basically just assaulted her, like kissing up on her face and stuff like this, like he did everything else but straight up penetrate her. And right at the end of that sequence, when Bond rescues her, she's ready to like make love to Bond. I'm like, girl, you almost got raped. Like, take a second.
Yeah, then she got rescued. That's the classic, action movie thing of like, if you're assaulted and then you get rescued, you kind of owe the guy who rescued you. That was satirical. That was not meant to be taken literally. I love Michael Jackson,
Oh
but
my god.
but yeah, I think that whole scene is kind of meant to be a little bit of a uh like a deconstruction of the classic Bond rapiness, where Alec who doesn't have like the loyalty to his country anymore, kind of runs amok with the unhinged, spy methodologies. But it's funny, actually, I kind of forgot about this until you brought it up just now. But Natalia definitely likes danger. She cozies up to Bond pretty quick after the guns go blazing.
Mm-hmm.
They're surrounded by the exploded train when like they first kiss.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and she's just kind of into it. She's into the danger. She's into the excitement. She's like, all right,
True.
I'm on an adventure with this hot dude. Yeah,
And then every time he,
We're going to Cuba.
and then he tells her to stay a couple of times, and she was like, I'm not staying. Like the scene where they're in the base at the end. He's like, okay, stay here. And she just like, no, I'm gonna go fiddle with this computer thing here.
Yeah,
um,
and to her credit, oh yeah, that's another thing is that she's not an action girl, but she does save the day.
mhm.
So she kind of splits the difference. She doesn't steal any of the action spotlight from Bond, but he would not have succeeded if not for her. He would have gone down with the dish for one thing if she didn't hijack the helicopter. And she instead of kind of like a countdown timer that they need to stop, it's she programs the Goldeneye to blow up immediately,
Yeah.
and Trevelyan tries to get Boris to fix it, but he actually can a little bit, but then Bond puts the he hijacks the dish itself.
Hmm.
But it's kind of interesting the way they do the classic ticking time bomb, deadline for the end of the movie, but in a different way, where Natalia basically does it herself pretty early on in the finale, and the villains are trying to undo what she did.
And,
I can crack her codes, and it's like, can
and
you
she
though?
and she actually helps with with Xenia as well. While he's getting crushed, even though when she swung at Xenia, Xenia caught it, but because of that distraction,
Yeah, it was
Bond was
just
able.
enough time.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Bond was able to give her squeeze. You know what I mean?
She always enjoyed a good squeeze.
It was. I gotta say, it's probably the first time a Bond villain dies where I was kind of sad about it. It was like, oh, what a
I would
shame.
have liked to see her in more scenes
Yeah.
doing mayhem.
And that was kind of a quick death too, considering how dangerous she was, right?
Oh
Because
my god, they should have brought her back in The World Is Not Enough as bullion, but give her like a back brace or something. But the back brace is like a sexy corset.
oh yeah,
Like make her Zukovsky's right hand
yeah,
guy. And Bond's like, she's bad. He's like, yeah, but she's fine now. It's the new Russia.
yeah.
Um,
But
that's a good idea. I should have written that.
and another thing that always bothers me, not just about this movie, but other movies where it features a girl getting sexually assaulted, if another girl is part of that crew, it always just it's like, okay, you're about to watch another female get raped, and you're down with that? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure there are probably like shitty women out there that would get off on seeing another woman get raped, but it's like it always kind of like
Exactly. Like I think Xenia is one of those.
it's like Jesus Christ, Xenia.
I mean, Xenia's like, 006. If you don't do it, I'm gonna do it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. By the way, she did say, "Wait your turn."
Wait your turn.
Yeah. So imagine that she would. Oh my God. Okay, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, she and Alec were made for each other.
Yeah. All right. So that was GoldenEye. A great start to the Pierce Brosnan franchise as a Bond. He is a great Bond. He's like the in between of Sean Connery and Roger Moore. He has the masculine portrayal of a Sean Connery, but it also has the I guess the flirtatious or the seduction techniques of a Roger Moore.
Yeah, the charm.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see why Pierce today is a lot of people's favorite Bond. You know, like he is just when you think of James Bond, you just think of Pierce. Like if you somebody says, "Hey, Bond, James Bond," I think Pierce just pops in people's mind automatically, even if they are growing up with Daniel Craig. I think they still almost see Pierce. You know, even through nostalgia because of Goldeneye, the video game. You know what I mean? It's like you think of the Walter PPK with the silencer on it and him with his bow tie, and it's like, yeah, that's Bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Quintessential
I think
Bond.
that's true of like the video game generation onward.
Yeah.
I think if you go to some of the old hats, as they say, they there's still a very strong Sean Kemp, but they'll all be dead soon.
And then so for I think for a while it will be Pierce. Pierce will ultimately take over that Sean Connery fandom space where he's considered the classic Bond, and then later on, I'm just curious where Daniel Craig's Bond will fall into that history. Um, because
I mean, I
even
just
though
think they were very bold to cast like someone who looked like got beaten with an ugly stick.
yeah, um,
Not a handsome man.
I mean he has pretty eyes. His eyes are
What if
pretty.
they asked the question, what if Bond was a butterface?
That sells his charm a little bit more.
I
Um,
suppose.
because then he was a guy who wasn't conventionally attractive, but was able to charm the pants off Eva Green. Is that her name?
Well, then they should have gotten Rick Moranis.
Well, he's not British.
Uh, right. Well, I kid Daniel Craig, but at the end of the day, I do love them all. I love all the Bond actors, and even the bad Bond movies I like.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so next week we'll tackle Tomorrow Never Dies, a movie that I don't remember too well, other than the fact that there was Michelle Yeoh and she was in a scene where she was behind Bond on a bike. I think.
hmm
Yeah.
you are in for a treat, my friend.
Um,
Um, we'll talk about it next week, but I have a very soft spot in my heart for Tomorrow Never Dies.
and of course, I remember the song "Tomorrow Never Dies."
Yeah, the second best Tomorrow Never Dies theme song.
Sorry.
Make sure to stay for the credits on that one for the real theme song.
The real theme song. Oh, there's a story
Oh yeah,
behind that.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. So, where can people find you, Zach?
You can find me on social media at my name. I'm sure Mark will put the link in the description.
Yep.
And you can find my work at Game Daily and TV Squad and Jalopnik, if you even know what that is. I don't even know what that is, but I'm working there too.
Oh, nice. And as for me, you can find me at my name as well, Mark Obridge, on Instagram and TikTok, and you can find in the link in the description links to my projects, my short films, and my comic book, Mana Kingdoms, issue 2, coming soon. And yeah. So until next time, folks, I want to say peace.
Indeed.